The winner is a micro coach in your pocket Panda training.
Thanks a lot. Was not expecting the victory, and super happy to be here. So, in a short time, I would want to tell a little bit more on what we are doing. So, before we go to what this personal coaching for every employee means in practice, I would want to tell a little bit of our history. The judge is judging again. He's ruthless. So yeah, basically last year, as you might be aware of that, reskilling and upskilling are very important themes on the current labor market. And in terms of lifelong learning, corporations do play a huge role in it. So last year we were thinking about that, okay, if there is so much training going on, it's estimated to grow around 10% in the next 4 years, and the current market value in the whole global training is around $366 billion based on certain research. So we were thinking about that, okay, we should try to create a framework where we could analyze impact of certain training processes in organizations. And we did that for last year for around 50 different cases to see what kind of an impact certain training processes have. We work with around 25 different companies, the biggest being Bayer and Futurice. And we came into an interesting conclusion, which both modern L&D research also seems to implicate, that the actual ROI of training practices is quite minimal. It's around 12%, max 20%. And if we think of the global training market being 366 billion, that's quite a lot of money wasted, I would say. So then the interesting part there was that our data also showcased that it's usually not the fault of the trainers per se. Usually they are doing a very good job with the power they have in their classrooms and whatnot. So it seemed to come back to the individual learning meta skills, their goal setting, their mindset, their behavior, and whatnot, and also the company as a learning environment, both the actual support of the group, the learning culture, the systems and processes in place, and whatnot. So then we came into the question, so, okay, if we are providing reports for these companies that things are not working and you're wasting money, that's not much of an added value, if you ask me. So we were thinking that, okay, how can we actually truly start creating value here? How can we get into the meaningful data on the everyday lives of the organization and in the learning and development which is occurring there? How can we get the data on the employees' perception of the company as a learning environment and how to support it? So we were thinking of a couple of different instances that we need to take into consideration. We need to learn how to and create a manner on how to transfer the learning from the actual training itself into their everyday life. We need to help the company in order to drive in the change management strategy and the certain initiatives. And we need to create, as I told you, meaningful data on the employees' perception on how the company is as a learning environment. So we generated a method of combining a tool we call micro-coaching with data analytics, and I will show you next how it works in practice. So here we can see Anna, an example of our process. So Anna has been in a communications training before, and a week after that we get to talk with him using our service and asked that what is the goal she set to herself after the training. And Anna says that she wants to get better at listening and better at recognizing her teammates' needs. It's a noble pursuit, definitely. Okay, so basically at that point we help her to prioritize and make the goal more tangible. We help her to think how can she utilize the working environment in order to reach that goal better. And as she showcases there, that before next Friday I will practice listening, three client meetings, and also going bowling with teammates on weekends, so could for example, practice nonviolent communication principles. She learned at the training, basic transference. And at that point, we want to help her ensure that it actually happens. So she makes it, like, for example, a calendar mark. And as well, what we would like to propose her to do is sharing that with her teammates as well. And also asking a request on that what kind of support would she want to get from her peers. So many companies already do have quite a lot of coaching. And what we noticed that what usually is that people don't even know that they have coaching programs inside the corporations. So, and it seems that people who are aware of it feel that it's too much of a commitment and hassle. So we wanted to just make it micro level. We want to have it like 15 to 30 minutes per week using the internal communications channel, for example, Teams, Slack, or whatever is your preferred means of communication. So it requires no installation, and it allows us to also gather the insights and qualitative data from the coaching itself. And in a nutshell, like what the value is offered here, so for the organization, it is alignment between the organization strategy and the personal goals in learning and getting the qualitative data on the employee's perception. And for the individual, we help them with the learning goal setting, reflecting on their weekly learning goals and what has been learned by any way, giving them structure on how to reach them goals, giving them the support and how to develop growth mindset, and also ensure commitment just based on Hawthorne effect, which is that you perform a lot better when someone else is watching and expecting you to succeed. So what is this data that we are talking about so much? It seems to come back to certain fundamental principles, for example, self-determination of the individual. Are their needs met in terms of their self-intrinsic motivations, such as competence, autonomy, and relatedness to others, and also psychological safety? And of all of that, we can see the results of the chain program, leadership team dynamics, are they enabling or inhibiting the learning practices and habits, resources. For example, it is a big problem in organizations that there is just too much stress and workload, which even on a neurological level, inhibits you to learn as well as you could. And on many instances, the company is not aware of that. The skill gaps and especially the blind spots, because you are so biased in that this is just the way things are and you do not have an external perspective to it. So why collect the data through coaching? Well, basically one is, the fundament is that we anonymize all the data, so it cannot be backtracked to the individual anymore. We develop trust with the coachee, there is no internal politics with us, and also if you think of that collecting data, we have one survey every now and then is enough. It's inferior in comparison of actual in-depth discussion on a weekly basis on a very private topics. This is one example on how can we collect the data and help the company create a better learning environment. We have already have some pilots in place. This is case Futurice, where it was actually quite successful, as Lenita here showcases that it can be successful and validated and method as a good and agile way in learning transfer and application. And some feedback from the end users, the participants who like the very low threshold compared to full-blown coaching, so time investment is small, the support and the structure. This is the process that I explained before a little bit, so it's basically a feedback loop of getting more information for enabling better learning for the individual and the whole. It's usually 6 weeks. We have certified coaches like as a background using it, and basically here is our team coming from very diverse background, from coaching, social psychology, data analytics, service design, business development and training. Very happy to be here, very happy that we gained this privilege of winning, and yeah, thank you for listening, and it was nice in having an EduHack. Thank you.